Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Court of Capes. We boys bring you content and review on certain caped heroes. I am one of your judges, Joshua Shelton, joined as always by Judge Brown.
Hello.
And Judge Cooper.
Court is in session. Hello.
That's right. May court be in session. Though before we get into the episodes that we watched itself, Curtis and I, or Judge Cooper and I, had a pretty neat experience playing a new game on the PS5, Miles Morales.
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yes. So, Curtis, we play this side by side. We know each other's opinions, but we'll kind of tell everybody else our opinions on the game. So what are some things that you liked about the game?
So I really liked how tight of an experience it was. In terms of like the plot and the flow, it didn't really feel like there was any filler in the game. Whereas like I think one of my only criticisms of Spider-Man 2018 on PS4 was that some of the stealth sections really felt tacked on, and I really didn't like them. But Spider-Man Miles Morales is just pure, like, unadulterated Spider-Man action. And I love that.
Yes. I totally agree with that. Yeah, it definitely feel like we were being forced to enjoy certain characters, such as MJ and Miles Morales in Spider-Man PS4, even though I did like that we were introduced to the character of...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Miles Morales at the stealth mission was that you're Miles Morales. Like, other than that, like in terms of Spider-Man PS4. But in Spider-Man PS5, they really were able, or Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5, they were able to contain it. And that was really enjoyable. It helped you focus on the story as well, which was really a really good story in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
What were some things that you disliked about the game?
Honestly, like there wasn't necessarily anything I disliked about this game that I didn't have critiques about in terms of the original. I like the combat in the game. I did feel like it got annoying after a while, after they really started like relentlessly like putting you through like enemy closets at the end. Like that's something that a lot of games do, is they just throw a bunch of enemies at you instead of giving you something like interesting to fight. But that's like a wider game's criticism. I think that by the end I really vibed with Miles's character, but it definitely took me a little bit to kind of like get a grip of how their take on Miles was going to be. Yeah. He was a little bit quiet in terms of character progression up until the end, but I felt like by the end I really liked him.
Yeah. Well, I kind of agree with that. But personally, like when you get into the battles and there's like a billion guys that you're facing at the time, I don't mind that, like, because I've totally grinded through Arkham Knight, and I felt like that sometimes in Arkham Knight, and I beat that entire game and then beat it in Nightmare mode. So I was totally used to just like grinding it out with a bunch of different guys. It would have been interesting to maybe have another villain thrown in there or whatever. We did notice that when they gave us, like, we felt that they were building up to something, you know, and that there was this mysterious character, and turns out that character wasn't so mysterious. But that's something that I did not like. Something else I did not like is I felt like the, I don't know if you would call it the main, or call it the main villain, but it felt like they were a drastic response to what happened to them in terms of what they were going to do. Like, I couldn't really make that connection, and I guess that's just in terms of story more than the game itself. I enjoyed like all the gameplay that they gave us, but I felt like it was too much. One of the antagonists was a little annoying to me. However, you brought up a great point when you were doing one of the last battles in the game, that it was not too difficult. It was more cinematic and more based on like what was actually occurring within the game rather than being this extremely hard boss fight.
Yeah, this game got like the idea of a final boss perfect. And I think Spider-Man 2018 had an amazing final boss too, because it was also like super cinematic and like really dramatic, as opposed to just being like really hard for no reason.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed that aspect of seeing that. Also, we got some pretty great picture perfect moments, especially near the end of the game. Scenes that were happening were like perfect shots, super cool. Great ending in my opinion. Like it was building up to something.
These might be some of the best shots I've ever seen in a video game. Period, in terms of cinematography.
Oh, so fantastic! Absolutely, and I feel like they wrapped up with the end really well. Like there were times where I'm like, when I was playing the game, I was enjoying it and I was enjoying the story, but I was like, for them to even, in my opinion, for them to like come close to how amazing Spider-Man PS4 was for me personally, they got to make this ending really good, and I feel like they came through.
Oh, they pulled it off.
Yeah, they really did. And if you were to give this game a rating out of 10, where would you go with it?
I think I'd put it at an 8.5.
I was feeling the exact same way about it. And so, not a perfect game, still probably one on the top of my list. Did the game top Spider-Man PS4 for you?
That's a complicated question because in some ways yes, some ways no.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of which one I'd rather replay, definitely this one, just because there's a lot more fluff in Spider-Man 2018.
Yeah.
While I do probably slightly prefer this universe's version of Peter to this universe's version of Miles, it's not that far of a disparity.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just really appreciate how tight this game was. So they're honestly pretty equal for me.
Yeah,
I probably would have given Spider-Man PS4 an 8.5 as well.
Okay. Yeah, after I played Spider-Man PS4 and listeners, I have platinumed Spider-Man PS4. It's the only game I've ever platinumed. I don't own a PlayStation. Curtis was gracious enough to let me play it. And I beat through the story, and I love the game so much that Anthony, Judge Anthony, and I had stayed up pretty late, 100%ing the game, which was pretty fun. I really enjoyed that. And so the experience for me, I left at a 9 out of 10 for Spider-Man PS4. And this game, I'd probably stay the same with an 8.5. So yeah, I don't think the game really edged over Spider-Man PS4. They did clean up some things about it, but I just, in terms of character development for Peter Parker within Spider-Man PS4 was just way grander than character development in Spider-Man Miles Morales. That's just my opinion. That's how I felt about the game, but I loved them both. I loved being able to play Spider-Man Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales. I'm on that hype train after Into the Spider-Verse. Such a good movie. Oh man.
And I think what's really important to highlight is this version of Miles stands on his own from the Into the Spider-Verse version. They're both like equally valid, and they're both like really good iterations of the character.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like an exact copy of Into the Spider-Verse. It had its own take, and I really enjoyed it. So listeners, what's up?
So Josh,
yes.
I was just going to add very quickly, as someone who knows absolutely nothing about this game, that was very cool to hear you all discuss. And on top of that, I have 2 quick questions for both of you.
All right.
So number 1, I'm curious, who is your favorite villain to fight in the game?
I don't really want to answer this because it would be spoilers.
That's okay. We can just have a spoiler section. So, dear listeners, skip the next 120 seconds if you don't want to be spoiled. Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, Judge Cooper, you go first.
My favorite villain to fight was a Tinkerer at the end.
Yeah,
For all the reasons I specified above.
Okay.
Yes,
so
Tinker was pretty cool. I let Curtis fight the main villains and stuff like that. I was able to fight someone. I was able to fight Rhino for a quick second, which
Rhino's in it. Okay.
Which was all right. But watching the Tinker, if I was able to probably play it myself, the Tinker probably would have been the best, mainly because it was a more cinematic boss fight rather than just extremely hard.
Got it. And my second question is, what was your favorite power of Miles to use? Because he has a couple that Peter doesn't have.
Oh, I mean the electric punch. Like, that felt amazing to pull off.
Yes, the Venom punch. Oh, I started to really expand the abilities of the Venom because you can do other things with your Venom, which was really cool. So I really started to use that a lot. I did realize like why they cut the amount of gadgets you can use as Miles. You know, being a newbie and all that kind of stuff, and as experienced as Peter. But I missed it. I missed all like mixing things up with all the gadgets. So
I actually preferred the smaller number of gadgets because he already has like more superpowers than Peter does. So I felt like that kind of balanced it out for me.
Okay.
And I never really used the gadgets in Spider-Man 2018 anyway.
Oh, I used them all the time. I had to when I would be taking on a stable base, I had to use a bunch of gadgets, especially late in the game.
Well, very cool. That helped me get a better idea of the game. So thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.
No problem.
Maybe someday, JC, you can enter into the gaming world. I would definitely recommend it. And starting off with single player games, that would be a pretty fun start, in my opinion, in Spider-Man PS4, and then going to Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Maybe someday.
Yep. All right, so that is our section as on Spider-Man Miles Morales, as Curtis and I were able to enjoy such a beautifully made game in many aspects. And I can't wait till Spider-Man 2 comes out, because let me tell you, the very end somatic scene that occurs post-credits, did it get you hyped, Judge Cooper?
Oh, it got me real hyped.
It gets you real hype. I tell you, you play through that game, and then at that last cinematic scene, post-credits, oh my goodness, you'll just want Spider-Man 2 to come out instantly. All right, so moving on, let's do our section called Get to Know Your Judges. Hey!
Yeah.
Where I ask you boys a question for the audience and listeners to get to know more about you, how you think, your opinions, our difference in opinions, things that we enjoy. Hopefully it helps listeners just kind of vibe with us, and they may agree or disagree with what we have to say. So this question that I have is, it can be manipulated a little bit if you want to discuss it, but the question is, what piece of media, whether it be show or TV or movie, superhero related, are you most hyped for like the next 2 or 3 years?
So I know that Josh and I have different answers, but it'll be interesting to see where you fall with that, Curtis.
Oh, I assume I probably have a different answer from the both of you.
Oh, that's interesting. Very interesting.
In fact, I guarantee you I have a different answer from Josh.
Okay.
Well, I think Curtis knows exactly where I'm going. So why don't we start with what are you guys? Let's go with Judge Brown. Judge Brown, what you got? What movie or TV show, superhero related, are you most hyped for like the next 2 or 3 years?
So, I mean, by far, the one that I'm most excited about is Multiverse of Madness.
We're going Spider-Man. Okay.
Because
Tell us
you
why.
mean Doctor Strange?
Yeah,
Doctor.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay. So there's some rumors, a lot of rumors going on around that show, whether they be accurate or not. But tell us why, and maybe we can talk about the rumors a little bit.
Oh yeah. So I mean, just going off of the possibilities, because WandaVision, which is about to come out in just a couple months, so hyped for that. That is going to lead directly into Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse Madness, which is confirmed. So we know that Wanda is going to be in it and is going to play an integral role, and likely going to deal with all the ramifications that happen at the end of WandaVision, which we're about to find out about. If she opens up the multiverse, if she does a whole House of M thing, whatever she does is going to affect that movie. And it's likely going to be the movie where we're going to see X-Men characters probably for the first time in a major way, possibly the Fantastic Four for the first time in a major way, possibly Deadpool coming over to the MCU in a major way, and possibly multiple iterations of Spider-Man and or maybe even Miles Morales.
Okay.
Literally, the possibilities are endless because this is going to.
I hope we don't see any of those.
we might not. But that's what I'm thinking about. The possibilities are literally endless for this movie. It's going to be the next Avengers level threat team up movie, as far as I know. I don't think any other coming before that. So yeah, it's going to be wild. And even if none of that happens, and it's just Wanda and Doctor Strange fighting a bunch of multiverse, who knows what, that's still going to be amazing, and that's still my highest anticipated movie. So there we go.
All right. No, yeah, you got a very compelling sales pitch for the hype of that movie, man. Hyping me up too. And you kind of mentioned some of the rumors that are going on about the movie. If you were to actually look it up on Google, I think, as I've kind of shared with you guys, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire both show up in the casting. Who knows if that's real? Sometimes Google's been completely unreliable. But yeah,
y'all can believe what you want.
That's not real.
Yeah, I don't know if it's real at all, but yeah, maybe getting a live action iteration of Miles Morales, that's also super exciting, especially just playing Miles Morales. And honestly, I read some stuff on Miles Morales before Into the Spider-Verse because I kind of wanted to get to know the character a little more. And I was like, this character's so cool. Why aren't people so into him? And then Into the Spider-Verse happened, and then everybody loved him, and I was definitely a part of the hype train for Miles Morales. And then we got him some in the Spider-Man PS4, which was fantastic. So yeah, endless possibilities, right? That is a very it can be appealing to some. It can be a little frustrating to others where they're completely unknown about what's going to be in the movie. So we'll see.
What about you, Curtis?
What'd you say?
What about you, Curtis?
Oh, what about my most hyped?
Oh yeah.
So mine is close, but mine is actually the very next piece of superhero media we'll be getting, and that is WandaVision.
I figured.
All right.
Because WandaVision, I think, is going to deal with the ramifications of a major event in the MCU, unlike anything we've ever seen. Because it's not going to be dealing with it on a broad scale, at least to start with. It's going to be dealing with it in a psychological scale. And we're going to be seeing the fallout of someone losing a loved one when that someone has mind-altering powers. and reality warping powers in Wanda. And I cannot wait just to spend some time like within her own head to see how she's like processing things, to see if that's going to lead her down a nefarious route or maybe a heroic route. I would love it if they had the gall to make her a villain, though. I think that'd be super cool.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Josh, what's yours?
Yeah, WandaVision is something that's definitely on my radar. I just listened to Kind of Funny podcast of them talking about WandaVision and some dates that might have been changed. Whether they're going to try to push it to where it's released in theaters or it's going to be released on Disney Plus, and you have to pay the extra bit of money for it.
Wait, WandaVision?
I mean, they announced it was going to be on Disney Plus when it was like literally announced. So I don't think any of that's true.
Well, some things have possibly, like when they're going to release it as well. Like when are we actually going to get it? Because it's based in
They gave
December.
us a release date like a week ago.
Yes.
No. You have old information.
December.
Like it's coming out on January 15th.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
have you not seen our text?
It's already
Josh?
set.
No, I did not see that at all.
It's already set.
Yeah. So little bit of meta commentary here, but Curtis and I were thinking we could discuss that next after our current series ends here.
Okay.
I would enjoy that very much.
Yes. All right.
Josh is still reeling about being
All right.
wrong.
So, anyways, no, it's just I guess what I had listened to. Yeah, it was old information that they were talking about it. So
yeah. So, quick question. Before we jump into the episodes, do we still need to rank the last batch that we watched from last time?
Josh still hasn't given us his answer.
I have not. Okay. Anyways. All right. So you call me predictable. You call me whatever. I don't care. But my most hyped movie for the next 2 or so years is The Batman with Robert Pattinson, because honestly, in terms of Batman content, I feel like we've just been robbed. Like a really good, legitimate Batman content. I personally liked Ben Affleck as Batman, but just the way they wrote it out just really didn't work. Batman v Superman was something, and then Justice League happened, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Like, it happened, so yeah, and I appreciated the Nolan trilogy. I loved it. Like, The Dark Knight is one of my, if not my favorite movie of all time. Not just because it's Batman, because there's a lot of things that go on in that movie that's just like makes a movie amazing.
Yep.
But when I watched the trailer for the Batman, like the most recent trailer, I was so hyped. Like, I just was like, I want to see this movie right now. Don't care how much I have to spend. I really don't. I want to see this movie right now. And I like show everybody I possibly could about the trailer, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a really good trailer. It gets you hype. Like, let's go." Most people were hating on Robert Pattinson as the casting of the Batman
before the trailer.
From the trailer, yes. And then we got to see a glimpse of his suit. Some people are hating on that as well. I have some nitpicks about it, but after seeing it in the trailer, everything that I kind of was nitpicking before, I'm no longer. Like, I'm just like, this is freaking awesome.
Welcome to the right side of history, Josh.
I'm ready. Let's go. hey, I know, you have to have faith in all, but I just had to be shown a little more to believe that this was going to be some good Batman content.
You've been hurt too many times.
The problem is it just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And that's
like
really
everything
annoying.
right now.
But yeah, like everything right now. But I'm actually on the side right now where I'm appreciating the Robert Pattinson casting versus when Ben Affleck was originally going to play him.
Oh.
Like,
oh yeah, I love Robert Pattinson already way more than I ever liked Batfleck.
I liked Ben Affleck a lot. I loved his suit and stuff like that, but it seems that they're going more of the younger Ben Affleck, or the younger Batman and the younger Bruce, which Robert Pattinson fills in way more and probably would do a way better role and look than Ben Affleck would have.
So this is just my 2 cents, but I think that Ben Affleck made a very, very, very good Bruce Wayne. Not a great Batman.
Yeah. Yes, he did make a fantastic Bruce Wayne. He was more the playboy, just like looking the part and stuff like that. In terms of Batman, I don't know if it was Ben Affleck's fault as much as it was the writers, like the things he had to say and stuff like that and where he was placed.
Yeah.
Like that whole where he was working out and getting ready for Superman kind of thing. I thought that was pretty cool. Like that whole montage that was going on. I thought that was pretty freaking awesome. And he looks the part for a good Dark Knight Returns-esque type Batman. And I liked his suit as well. Like the whole gray form-fitting kind of suit. I don't know. I really liked it. But I'm very hyped. Very hyped for the Batman. Let's go. Call me a homebody, whatever you want. I don't care. I love Batman. I think he's one of the greatest heroes of all time. And Dick Grayson's still my top. Someday we'll maybe get a Dick Grayson show or movie.
We're supposed to get a Nightwing movie, but
yeah, well, there's the Titans.
Well, we have that already. It's called Titans.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's.
No. No.
You all got what you wanted. It's Nightwing.
No. It is nowhere near the quality and just everything of what I want. Like, I feel like
Titans after WandaVision, anyone?
There's some fan films that I feel like are better at portraying Nightwing than what we got.
That was trash.
I did finish it mainly because spoilers here that Deathstroke does show up at the end. So I don't want to review the show. I don't.
No.
I really don't.
We all 3 of us sat down and we tried to watch it together.
Yeah, we did.
So bad
and the first episode wasn't that bad. We were like, okay, this is kind of fun. The
first episode piqued my interest.
Yeah, it did. But then it just kind of was going downhill, and the whole Raven thing they had going on, I just wasn't on board.
No. It was garbage.
Okay, anyways, enough about that show. We're here to talk about the Batman.
Give you
our 2 cents on the show, The Batman. And this, we will be reviewing, well, we can rank, if we want to, our episodes from season 4, and then we'll get into season 5.
Yes.
Okay, so just a reminder of season 4. We started with started with Seconds, then went to episode 9, Riddler's Revenge, episode 10, Two of a Kind, episode 11, Rumors, and then 12 and 13 were The Joining Part 1 and The Joining Part 2.
Okay, time for us to figure out
So
what
we
our
are strictly
rankings are.
here to what our rankings are on this show for this season. If Judge Cooper, do you have an idea of your rankings on this season? These series of episodes?
I mean, Can one of you go first?
I need just a minute to figure out how I'm ranking these, because as per our tradition, we do not put any thought into this beforehand. At least
Okay.
I don't.
Josh, can you read me the titles?
Oh, yes. I will reread the titles. Episode 8, Seconds. Seconds.
All right, that's my least favorite.
Okay. Okay. So episode 9 is Riddler's Revenge. Episode 10 is Two of a Kind, which was involved Harley Quinn and Joker.
Yeah.
Episode 11 was Rumors, which involved Rumor and every villain that Batman has basically ever faced. Episode 12 and 13 are The Joining Part 1 and Part 2, involving a Martian Manhunter and then some others who have cameos in Part 2. And the main villain is The Joining.
All right, so I'll go from bottom to top. Seconds is my least favorite, followed by Rumors.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna put the Joining two-parter.
Oh.
Okay. Then I'm gonna put the Riddler episode, and then Two of a Kind is my favorite.
All right.
Well, for the first time ever, Curtis, that is my exact list.
I did not think you liked Two of a Kind that much. I'm pleasantly surprised, JC.
Oh, that is one of the standout episodes from the show for me.
Heck yeah.
I love that episode.
Nice.
You put Riddler's Revenge at second, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yes. May we speak in unison. It has been unanimously voted
Wow.
of what the best episodes and worst episodes of this series are.
This is unprecedented.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I just feel like, man. I mean, we already discussed what we thought about the episodes in the previous episode of Court of Capes. You can go back and listen to that. So yeah, not really much explaining to do other than it was really nice to have Harley Quinn, different take on her, a Two of a Kind, and Riddler's Revenge, the origin story, just makes him such a more compelling villain. So yeah, and the seconds happened. So
Yeah.
seconds happened,
And we got a killer song, Setting the Woods on Fire in
Yes.
So good.
Put it on Spotify.
Yes.
All right. So with that said, moving on to season 5. Episode 1 and 2. We can discuss them if we'd like.
So
Together.
I'm just gonna
Superman story, so it's pretty obvious.
I'm
What?
just gonna
What did you
throw
say?
this out there.
Throw it out there.
I think that I think we could all probably agree on this, but feel free to disagree. I think season 5 so far has been very front heavy in terms of quality.
Expound upon what you mean by that.
You mean this being the best episode, the two-parter?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
I guess it's both, but yes, Curtis and I had once we had finished binge watching, he said, "What are your thoughts?" And I gave some thoughts, and I also said that that the best episodes were the Batman Superman ones.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yes, I agree." Yeah. So what? Okay, so with that said, I would kind of like to get JC and Curtis your take on like, what do you think about slightly edgy Superman?
Oh,
I liked it.
I left my notes from the first part back at my apartment, but I took all the other notes for the other episodes on my phone, so I have those with me. But I just remember writing down on the first episode that this is not the typical Boy Scout Superman.
No, it is not.
Like you mentioned, he's edgy. Like he does not care. Like, he does not want to be a member of a team. He's like, how's your Justice Club doing? And he just does not care about any of it. Wants to be alone. He's a jerk to Batman.
Yeah, it was really interesting when he meets Batman for the first time, and he just uses X-ray vision to find out his identity, and then uses it against him. But then it was super awesome when Batman shows up at Clark Kent's apartment, and he's just like, "Hey," and then he's like, "Okay, now I know why you're the world's greatest detective." Like,
You know, I'll go ahead and make the comparison because you were going to probably do it anyway, Josh. But
All right.
that is extraordinarily similar to how it goes down in Batman the Animated Series. Or
yes.
yeah.
I really enjoy that part. I'm glad like they put that in there. It was very enjoyable. I love when they affirm a Batman's abilities in the show, like trying to say like more than just a man kind of thing. I really like it when they do that in this show. But it seemed really interesting when Superman was like, "I work alone." I was like, "What are you doing? That's Batman's line." Like,
Yeah, that's pretty
what?
brooding of him.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, exactly. And it was such an interesting take. They like swapped roles where Batman's like, "Yeah, I'm part of a team," and then Superman's like, "I work alone," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed. I enjoyed edgy Superman. I'm glad that they, kept him from being that just altruistic Boy Scout that everyone likes. It kind of made me think of like if Superman was raised slightly different, not different to the point where he becomes Homelander, but
Red Sun, Superman.
yeah, okay, that's drastically different. Oh my goodness, that was something else. But yeah, so you are right. Very front heavy. These first 2 episodes are the best of the series. Sorry, listeners, that we just throw that out there, but you would probably agree with us. And it's to the point where it's just obvious. Very
Yep.
obvious.
So I just want to also throw this out there and see if you all agree. So I felt like in these 7 episodes that we watched from season 5, I felt like we got the most expressive Batman that we have ever gotten so far in the show. Like, this Batman is smiling, like almost laughing at times.
He's smiling all the time. I'm like, what in the world? And the relationship that he has with Robin was like, it's just so like father-son. I was like, why didn't he do this before? Robin probably wouldn't have left. But then he might not have become Nightwing, so that,
True.
that's something. But
yeah, this Bruce is a way better father.
Oh, absolutely. He's almost like the perfect father in a sense, other than like putting kids in crime's way. That's like, probably not the best thing you can do as
Other
a father.
than that tiny detail.
Minor.
Yeah. Minor detail. He's very protective, but allows them to, be independent in a sense and do their own thing. Yeah. Fatherly like Bruce and edgy Superman. Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk?
Yeah. When I look back at my favorite versions of Batman, I think this show stands out for me because they don't take it the same way as like Batman the Animated Series, or like especially like how Batman's portrayed like currently in like 2020 in media, like as super broken, emotional, just brooding all the time, not able to have an off switch to that, it seems like, anymore. And he's just so bent on avenging his parents that it consumes every bit of him, and it makes him emotionally unhinged at times. Like, I appreciate seeing a Batman who can control his emotions and can turn it off and can still interact with people and be a good guy to be around. That's why I like this Batman so much. I don't know if they went too far here or not, but but I thought it was cool. I like it.
And I say that I would agree in that I like this Batman in a vacuum.
Yeah.
I will say that this version of Batman to me has felt kind of like a lot of the other characters in the show, like really inconsistent. Because like yes, like he feels like more open to like his own feelings in season 5, but like why? Like how does it didn't feel earned necessarily to me? Like, oh, like maybe he could have like gone through some character development at some point, but it kind of just asks us to assume that he did, and that's something that I've never really appreciated about shows.
I think they like with all character development that happens in this show, they give a very little and expect a lot. And I think that the two-part finale of The Adjoining, where Batman went through that mini arc of I can't have my sidekicks because I don't want to have them in harm's way and I want to work alone. And then throughout the course of the episodes, realizing, oh, I love them and they're my family and I can work with them. And now I'm gung-ho about being a team player and I'm really happy now. All of that was the result of that mini arc, I think. And they just, are asking way too much of us from those 2 episodes.
Well, I'm not going to take your bait, JC, about Batman the Animated Series. I told Curtis that I would do my absolute best not to bring it up or compare, because I did make the choice to watch a random episode of Batman the Animated Series while I was at Curtis's place. I will not give my thoughts on it. Anyways, I will also say I do enjoy a slightly lighter-hearted Batman. That is something that's nice to see. Though, in my opinion, that's kind of why I like Nightwing so much, because of his contrast to Batman. Like Batman be so dark and brooding and always emotionally unstable, where Robin's then like, I don't want to be a part of that, and then becomes Nightwing, to where he's a much more stable character, can have healthy relationships to an extent, other than being a crime fighter at night. So yeah, I mean, in this at this moment, that is kind of enjoyable because we're not going to get Nightwing, but Nightwing does. It is affirmed that Nightwing exists in this universe.
Artifacts.
Yes, in episode 7, I think it was, of Artifacts of last season. So Nightwing does exist. So as enjoyable a lighthearted Batman is, it kind of makes me think like what's the need for Nightwing, to bring that lighthearted aspect of it compared to the dark brooding Batman.
Well, I think that, sorry to cut you off, but I think that this Batman will probably go through a Jason Todd moment that'll probably make him brooding again.
Possibly, yes. I mean, you've seen the show, and so and we are coming to the last episodes of the show.
Yeah.
So
It gets sad.
Yeah. So I guess some will get sad. Some may just be like, hey, I got to experience that. We'll see. But I will agree with you that this is an enjoyable Batman to see in terms of being lighthearted. That's nice. And get to see Bat Dad where he's not super toxic.
Bat Dad.
Yeah, we get to see Bat Dad. But Curtis is also right that this character came out of nowhere. There was no true development, and other than that 2-parter of The Joining, where he's like, hey, it's like he becomes Vin Diesel. It's like family first, like it just it seemed very all of a sudden, and like there was not much development there. Anyway, so yeah.
So what did sorry if I'm jumping the gun, but what did you all think of the Batman universe, like those characters, Lois and Metallo and Clark Kent? Like what do you think of like that introduction into these episodes?
Specifically the Superman characters, I liked them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Lois. I mean, there was no like, it wasn't a different take on Lois.
No.
It wasn't like a super different take. And Metallo, he was kind of fun. Didn't seem as threatening though as they were trying to make him out to be. Like the Batman was taking him on pretty hard, and I was like, this guy's taking on Superman like a boss, and Batman comes in and he does like a jump kick and like knocks the guy down, and I'm like, what? What? And then Robin too was doing some damage to him. So they could have made him a little more threatening, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Luthor, I enjoyed Luthor as well. Not really a different take. Always conniving, genius Luthor. Pretty sure it was the voice of Luthor, and compared to some other animated series, he just sounds super familiar. So I don't know who voiced Luthor, but he sounded like the same voice that they've used Luthor in the past or the future. I don't know. I just
Clancy
heard.
Brown voice Luthor?
Yeah, Clancy Brown.
Bam, look at me. Off the top of my head.
Well, then there we go.
Yeah. So that's why we liked it so much.
Yeah.
Great voice actor.
It's hard to believe he's also Mr. Freeze, apparently.
Yep. And Mr. Krabs.
Okay. We're going real deep here. Yeah, it seems like I think I mentioned this before, that they usually get a lot of voice actors to voice multiple characters. And that's something I learned after listening to the podcast, the Batman, the animated podcast. I've learned that they'll bring one voice actor in for a role, and then they might cast them as other roles. So, like Ron Perlman. Okay, anyways, does anybody have anything to add about the Batman Superman story, which did not include Batgirl, by the way?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And we noticed, Curse and I noticed that this season does not include Batgirl much at all.
No.
In fact, there are only 2 episodes out of what we've seen that include this season that include Batgirl.
Most tragic.
She's only really in, I think, 3 episodes of the entire season.
Gross.
It's rough. Yeah. They don't do her enough justice in this season. It's sad.
No, they don't.
Especially because she makes Robin even better.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. It's sad.
I enjoy this Robin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I like him. I think he's even better with her, though.
I completely agree. So speaking of Robin, what do you think of the jetpack?
I thought it was fun. Definitely different. It reminded me again that this is a kids show.
Yeah.
Gotta sell them toys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, bring out the toys. So, and like Robin having so much fun on it, it reminded me that it was a kids show, but I enjoyed it. It seems
Cool.
it seems they try to make Robin as mobile as he possibly can. Like with the joining where he was on the alien tech just flying around and he used it to take one of the robots down. It's like we'll put Robin on any sort of transportation, let him have fun with it.
And they gave him a motorcycle just like Teen Titans.
Yeah, they gave him a motorcycle, which he just like clobbered Metallo in. So,
and remember, he's 9 years old, I'm pretty sure, here, riding a motorcycle.
So if a cop saw that nonsense, they'd be like, what? Yeah, but that is something about Robin's character, like any young Robin that Batman takes on, that he's having to take on. He is having to grow up fast. Like, he's being forced to grow up real fast.
Oh, yeah. And what did you all think of Batbot 2.0?
I liked it.
I didn't hate it. You know? It just seemed like there wasn't much use for it. It just got torn apart pretty fast.
Well, yeah, but they always do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the shoulder discs. It reminded me of the discs that they used for pro bending for some reason in Korra.
All right.
I don't know why my mind went there, but that's what it reminded me of.
So yeah, those, as we mentioned before, definitely a front-heavy series of episodes.
Yeah.
Those were definitely the best. And with that said, moving on to another episode where Batgirl. Huh?
One more thing. Sorry.
What?
Last
Judge
thing.
Brown has something else to say.
I know. One more. Then we can move on and we can just like speed through all the other pretty irrelevant episodes. But I thought there was a really funny line here. I can't remember exactly what Robin did. It might have been something in the Metallo fight, or no, I think it was probably the Superman fight. I think it might have been when he fired the rocket onto Superman, I think, that knocked him off Batman. And afterwards, Batman's like, "You get a raise." And Robin's like, "I get paid?"
That was good.
Yeah.
I definitely like this Robin. Very useful. Has a bunch of great lines, honestly. Like, sometimes it seems like it could be a little excessive because he's always trying to say something, but I enjoy it for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty surprised at how often like his lines land.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good.
All right. So moving on to episode 3, Vertigo, where we are introduced to a new villain and a new superhero.
Green Arrow.
Yes. So this episode plot does a little
Forgot we watched this episode.
So yes, Green Arrow.
That'll be a recurring theme.
As young Oliver Queen is met by Vertigo, which is then forced into an island by himself, where he somehow magically teaches himself many things. And as Curtis put it, he got swole.
He got swole.
He got swole.
Yes, he did. He got swole, and then he just comes back and becomes a superhero. There was no like that short montage or that short video of him becoming Oliver or Green Arrow. Just kind of happened. Like, there could have been so much more. Like, obviously we're not watching the entire show about him, so they might have wanted to keep it short, but like, what about that, like, really wanting to become the Green Arrow? Like, what really drove him to become a Green Arrow? And there might be an episode later, I don't know, about why he is Green Arrow, but just, it was something missing. I felt like, oh, no, we're getting
Don't
to
get
know.
your hopes up for character development, Josh. Come on, you know what you're watching.
Well, we got something from the Riddler, even though it was like 3 seasons later.
That's
we
true.
Got it.
Got to hold
We
this
don't
show's
have 3
feet to
more
the fire.
seasons.
No, we do not have 3 more seasons. You're right. So I feel like that was something extremely missing in this after introducing a core Justice League member.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like every one of these episodes where they revealed like a new Justice League member, like save for the Superman one, because that was obviously 2-part. It felt like all the rest of these were supposed to be 2-parters, but they all got cut to like 1 episode.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as we'll get into the introduction of another Justice League character, it's the same way. It's just like, and it was even worse. I felt like it was worse with the next one we talk about.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
There's nothing really that stands out to me about this episode other than Batman used a freaking jetpack on his seat to catch up with Vertigo on his helicopter. He just like power slides the Batmobile and then just jets out of the freaking Batmobile on his driver's seat, still seatbelts on, and it's like, what in the world?
I turned over to Josh and I was like, this is a silly episode.
Yes. It's like, it is kind of fun, but it was still very silly.
Yeah. Did you all at least like Green Arrow's design?
Nothing new.
It was okay.
Okay. Well, that's
the
most positive thing I can say about the episode.
Yeah, I guess his design was classic. I'll give it that. His design was more of the classic look, which Batman used to his advantage to be like, "Hey, Ollie, like, oh, that's you. Like, I know exactly who you are, you know."
Yeah.
But then he's like willy nilly giving out his secret identity.
Oh yeah.
He's just
Like-
passing it around to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a team player where it's getting bad. Like, this is not the Batman I know. The Batman I know has contingency plans for every single core Justice League member.
They literally made it a recurring gag of them just waltzing into the Batcave unannounced.
Yeah, for real. And it wasn't that like entertaining or funny that this was happening. It's like, what in
Yeah.
the world?
Oh my.
What did you guys think of Vertigo as a villain?
Lame sauce.
He just was. He was there. He wasn't anything
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, he was just there. And I feel like in the series Arrow, the CW series, they tried to really make Vertigo a really important thing. They hit on some things, but they missed on some other things.
Didn't Oliver just straight up kill Vertigo?
I think so.
I feel like he did.
All right. Yeah.
Just like,
yes.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. It was one of many Oliver's identity crises that he goes through.
He oscillated between killing people and not killing people like 5 times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then
It's like-
spoiler alert. I know you all never watched to season 5 like I did.
Oh, I've
Nope.
seen all of it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I've seen all of it.
Oh wow. Awesome. Never mind then. But
Well, fill me in because I will never watch it.
remember
At least
in
the last like 4 seasons.
remember at the very end of season 5 when he's going up against what's his face? The Dark Archer, the new Dark Archer. What was his name?
Not Brother Blood. It was like, wait, didn't he become the new Dark Archer? Brother
Yeah.
Blood?
Yeah, but what was his name?
Wait, Brother Blood came back?
No, he didn't. How am I forgetting this guy's name? He was one of the main villains. Oh my goodness. Prometheus.
Yes, Prometheus.
Yeah. He was fighting Prometheus, and that was actually a really good episode where Prometheus was torturing Oliver. Remember that?
Oh, that was really good. And he was making him again question his identity.
Yeah.
The
That
whole
was
time.
that was probably
that was,
the darkest episode of Arrow.
it was very dark, but that was probably the closest time where he was really willing to like give all of his code up. Like,
Yeah.
in that, like, they really made you think that Oliver was literally about to give up all the things he stood for.
Because
You know,
as a result of Prometheus torturing Oliver, the reason this is all relevant is because Oliver's literally like, Prometheus is like, why do you kill people? And Oliver's eventually snaps and he's like, because I like killing people, or I love killing people. Like he says those words, which is crazy.
Well, yeah, because he literally season 1 is just about him being a serial killer.
Yeah.
yeah, with a superhero spin.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh Segura plays Prometheus, which I really liked. He really did good in that role.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
anyways, so out of that rabbit hole, Vertigo just happened. Moving on to an interesting episode, kind of, called White Heat, where they bring back Firefly, who then becomes Phosphorus.
Why did this episode happen?
I don't know.
It sure felt like I missed something when I watched this episode. Like, it's like the show expected me to know who Dr. Blaze was, even though they never introduced her.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah,
just kind of there, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess.
This whole transition didn't make any sense from him becoming Firefly to Phosphorus. Like,
No.
that does not align with any story whatsoever that I'm aware of. Like, that made no sense. Like, yeah. Anyways,
Is Phosphorus a Batman villain? Like,
Phosphorus is a villain. Yes, Dr. Phosphorus is the original character's name because the character is actually a doctor. Curtis and
Well,
I had to look at.
I feel like they split that character into two characters because, like, obviously, like Dr. Blaze, I feel like was the doctor element of it, and then she kind of like quote unquote created Dr. Phosphorus. So I see what they were going for there.
Yeah, I can see that, but the whole transition from being Firefly and then turning into Phosphorus, it's like, why?
I mean, to be honest, it was way more interesting than any other Firefly episode. So better this than those.
Yeah.
yeah,
It was kind of sad. It was a little sad too, kind of the whole, being in love with someone and then turning out into the, I guess he was already a villain. So an unlovable villain to her, in her eyes, I
Yeah.
guess. He becomes an unlovable and untouchable villain. I don't know. I did think Curtis and I okay, Jace, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, this was an interesting episode because this is one of the rare times where Batman is like completely outgunned. Like he really had, at least initially, no answer at all for Phosphorus. Like Batgirl and Robin were about to literally get burned up at one point, and he like
That's true.
screams, "Move!" at them in like a way that I've never heard this voice actor like sound before, of like sheer like fear for their lives, and that was kind of crazy in my opinion.
I did kind of notice that inflection as well.
Yeah.
It did stand out. Like he's like, whoa, like I guess this is serious. And yeah, it was another point. There has been some points in this show where like the villain is so threatening that you're like, okay, how the heck is Batman gonna figure this one out? Like, even though Seconds was probably our least favorite episode, there was a moment where I was like, how in the world is Batman gonna figure this one out?
I had that
Then
same
they
thought.
punched a hole in the whole idea of everything, and they're like, yeah, I guess he figured it out. I don't know. But yeah, so I felt the same way. Like, how the heck is Batman going to solve this? And I thought he was going to solve it when he broke out the new suit.
Oh, that was a great suit.
That
was a cool suit.
It was a freaking good suit.
Love the red eyes.
Much like the Mr. Freeze episode, the suit's the best part of the entire episode.
Amen to
that. So yeah, it was a freaking awesome suit. And we had been talking about this. Like, they had an all-white suit. Why don't we bring out an all-black suit? So that's what they did, and they gave him red eyes, which I thought it was pretty freaking cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, any time a Batman suit doesn't have a mouth, like, it just makes him look 1,000 times cooler.
Really does.
Yeah.
Makes me question why Batman has a mouth that's not like.
Exactly. He looks so much more menacing and ninja-like.
Yes. And like I like it when he doesn't have the mouth, because like when he has the open area like of the chin and the mouth, it makes him seem more human, which is not something he's trying to portray towards the villains he's fighting up against. Like,
no.
Yeah, he's trying to instill fear into them. Well, according to Batman Begins and other iterations of Batman, maybe not this one as much. But he's trying to get them scared and make him seem like he's something worthy, or something that's you don't want to fight against, which I didn't realize how big of a difference it made covering the mouth and not. Anyways, that's probably the best part of the entire episode, White Heat.
Yeah.
The new suit, which got blown apart pretty fast.
And his whole face was exposed.
Yes. And I thought to myself, is Batman about to sacrifice his entire life, like, just to get this villain down? And there was something else that happened in this episode. So he shot a ton of liquid nitrogen at him. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of liquid nitrogen at him. And I thought to myself, Batman's hands would be completely frozen and fallen off while he's holding that thing.
You'd think.
I don't get it. But we are reminded this is a kid's show. Sometimes they just don't have to explain anything and they just give it to you.
And he's Batman.
And he's Batman. That's true. So moving on to the next episode, we are introduced to, again, a new hero and a new villain.
Yay.
And this is probably my least favorite portrayal of the Flash ever.
Man, they got an annoying voice actor to voice this guy.
I can't disagree at all.
I mean, I'll take dark, slightly brooding Barry Allen from the CW's Flash any day over this Flash.
100%.
Oh yeah, Grant Gustin's awesome.
But I loved the Flash portrayal that they had in Justice League. And I absolutely love what they did with the Flash in Young Justice.
You mean the Justice League TV show, right?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's something I definitely have to clarify.
Yes.
Yeah. I still liked Ezra more than
No.
I liked this guy.
Oh, 100%. Totally agree.
No, yes. I still like Ezra more than I like this guy.
Not jumping on that bandwagon.
It's not a bandwagon, man. Come on.
It's just the truth.
It's
Have fun
just
over there with that
facts.
crap.
I
Oh,
mean,
man.
it's not necessarily a corner. I feel like most people would agree with us.
I would like to look it up. Maybe I should ask Twitter at some point.
No
That-
one's
but that
seen
would-
the Batman.
All they have to do is go see that episode. I'd be like, hey, guys, go watch, because it could stand on its own, and it's the only Flash that we've been introduced so far. So our opinion is just based on this one episode of The Flash. But, yeah, I really don't like him. I don't like how they implemented that he's a speedster, so he has to talk real fast.
Oh,
Like, that was super annoying.
like nails on a chalkboard.
Least favorite iteration of Flash ever. But I haven't seen the classic live action Flash way back in the day.
Oh yeah, with him.
Yeah, I totally forgot. What's his name?
It'll come to me in like
The
5 hours.
dad from the CW show.
Well,
Yeah,
yes, right. Yes, the dad from the CW show. But yes, I have not seen that live action show, which is on DC Universe. It is on the app itself, so you can watch it. But yeah, so right now this Flash iteration is my least favorite that I've ever seen. And JC sometime will come to the side of the good guys. I don't
We'll
know.
see.
The
We'll see.
light.
Maybe with Snyder's take on Justice League, getting a Snyder's cut.
You know, if that has the potential to make me say that Ezra could be better than this Flash. I'm not saying this Flash is good. This Flash is not good. He just is. Kind of like this episode. It just is. But Ezra just made me mad. I don't know. I
Gotcha.
just don't like him. And he was a terrible Barry Allen, in my opinion. And we didn't even get to see this Barry Allen. We don't even know for sure if it is Barry Allen.
That's true.
So, you know, yeah. So I can't compare him in that way. But yeah,
This episode was absolutely unnecessary, and we could have done without. I feel like they were just like, oh, they saw Flash at the end of joining part 2, so we're gonna give them Flash.
Yeah.
I feel like that's all these episodes are going to be now and upcoming are they saw them in joining part 2 in that last scene, so we're going to give them an episode involving the character.
Just like, well, we already went through the trouble of putting them in this universe's art style, so let's use them.
Yeah, and Mirror Master was slightly interesting. He was interesting, like his
I
whole
would agree.
plot.
I would absolutely agree with your slightly interesting comment. That is exactly how I feel.
His whole plot against the city, that was kind of cool, but
Yeah.
all of it was to get money. That is okay, and that's something I want to point out against this show. I know we're really harping against this show on this episode, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're really harping against this episode. I feel like the best content of this show might be behind us. Chase,
I hope not.
We might have
feel
peaked in season 4, boys.
What'd you say?
We might have peaked in season 4, boys.
I mean,
All right.
I'd argue that season 3 was the best so far, but we'll get to that when we get to that.
Okay, yeah. So, anyways, I'm sorry we are harping against the show quite a bit, but sometimes it makes for good content. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
But every single villain, or not every single villain, but most of the villains in this show had one goal, and that was to get as much money as they possibly could. And I thought to
Except for
myself,
best girl Poison Ivy.
yes, Poison Ivy, that's what made her a great villain. That it wasn't to get money at all.
Yeah.
And she had a legitimate plan, and that's what made her like a good villain, to the point where she had a legitimate plan to almost take over Gotham completely.
And let's not forget about Dave.
Yes, and that's another.
Well, Dave's on a different level.
Well, Dave,
no.
Dave's on a completely different level. He is by far the best villain that we have been introduced to in this show, and probably will remain that way.
Wouldn't it be amazing if Dave was the series finale villain?
Oh, JC, that what you just said
JC,
just
what are you
tells me that
doing?
he's
Why are you
not,
opening
and that
this box?
and that completely depresses me. Now I need to go sit and just think for a
because
while.
we all know it's not happening, but it would be amazing. I'm sorry, guys. Now you're gonna hate the finale because I just said that, because it's not Dave.
Okay, I would be super mad if the entire finale of this show was was like a repeat villain.
They see if the Penguin is in the finale of this show. So help me.
I actually don't think Penguin's in it. But okay. Side segment. Before we go any further, I just want to know, what is your top pick for what your guess is as what the finale could be?
I mean, I think it'll probably have Joker in it at least.
Well, I see the episode. I would have to see the episode name.
No, don't even. Just off the top of your head. Based on everything you've seen from finales, from the Batman, what do you think it could be? I'm just really curious. Like anything.
Wait, what do you think it could be, or what do I want?
What do you think? I went with what I think it'll be.
What did you say, guys?
I think it'll be a Joker episode, at least.
Okay.
Maybe a team up of some kind, but I think Joker will be in it.
I'll say this.
It is a
two-part. It is a two-part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of them have been two-parters.
Yeah.
Or like 3 of the 4.
Okay, so
Or
Dave.
3 of the 5.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go idealistic here. All right, so I kind of I'm gonna take back my statement that I made before, because there is one person who I would like to see as a villain, because he has either been a pretty good villain or he's created a great villain, and that is Hugo Strange.
True.
Okay.
That'd be a nice
I would
villain.
like to see a good, fantastic Hugo Strange where he just goes all out. That is something I think maybe could happen. But I'm also leaning towards what Curtis said, that like this is a Batman show, and to end on a Joker note makes sense. Though I've been thoroughly disappointed with the Joker in this show. He gives us ups and he gives us downs, but way more downs than ups. The Harley Quinn episode was probably one of his better episodes for sure.
Oh, it was definitely my favorite Joker episode.
So yeah, I don't know. It could be the Joker. But we know it'll involve the Justice League.
True.
Right?
Yeah, I mean,
it'll involve the Justice League, so it's got to be a pretty formidable foe.
League level threat. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, probably something dumb like Brainiac then.
If the joining comes back, JC.
Oh man.
No. I
will protest by not watching the rest of it.
No.
If the joining is back.
No. The joining was trash. It was a wannabe Brainiac, and there was no history, no motive, no nothing to them. It was super dumb. Absolute. Oh man. Yes.
Time to wait and see.
Like the joining almost went all the way down to Penguin.
Almost, yeah.
Oh, you guys are gonna love the finale.
All right, I hope we do. You know,
I'm gonna pretend that wasn't sarcastic.
We will give our honest opinions.
About
the show.
Always.
We're nothing if not honest.
And yeah. I do want to say something about Mirror Darkly before we move on. I don't understand how he created beings that had the same powers, physical structure, and gadgets as each of the heroes.
No clue.
Like you can only mimic the Flashes like with the Speed Force, unless you had the power of yourself to absorb or mimic someone's powers. Maybe.
Yeah. So here's a question for you guys on that same, I guess, line of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What if you tried to remove their masks? What would be underneath? Or could you even remove their masks?
I don't think
they're all technically made of glass, so
I don't think you could remove their masks at all.
Okay.
Unless Mirror Master himself knew the identities of each of the characters.
Right.
It just is, it's real shaky, actually has no foundation whatsoever of how he created them and how they were able to do what they did.
It was a because comic books moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. But even comic books try to at least go a little in the future. I don't know, further art. What am I trying to think of? Further issues to explain some stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. At least it might be a dumb explanation, but at least they give one.
Yeah. So moving on to the next episode, which is called Joker Express, which the villain is pretty obvious, the Joker. Thoughts?
This was a fun episode.
Yeah,
we got Batgirl and Robin finally.
Joker was at least like Joker-like.
Yeah, he was entertaining and Joker-like. And one of his overall goals was just to destroy Gotham.
Yeah, it was very much along the lines of some men just want to see the world burn.
Oh yeah, it didn't seem like he really had a reason to do it. He just wanted to do it.
Just felt like it.
Which is very Joker-esque, which is probably the best part of the episode.
And I will say this, something I really like about this iteration of Joker is I love all of his costume changes.
Oh yeah, he really gets into his roles.
Mm-hmm.
Like the train. What is the name of someone who
Conductor.
pilots a train?
Conductor.
That's right. Yeah, he really got into his conductor role.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
So I also really thought Joker had an interesting line. When he was talking about, like, I think it was when they were all in the mine underground getting ready to get caved in. Joker's just like, ashes to ashes and all that rot.
that was a fun line.
I thought that was a fun biblical analogy right there.
Mm-hmm.
Or illusion, I mean.
Yeah.
And I love
Yeah.
I love the dead canary he was using.
Might have actually been my second or third favorite of this
Yeah.
series.
Oh yeah.
Well,
It's
if you
funny.
count-
It'll probably be fairly high for me too.
Yeah. All right.
So a couple things before we move on. I
Yes.
loved how the Batmobile had train track wheels.
Yeah,
that was
I
great.
was like,
all aboard the
when
Bat Train.
I looked over to Curtis and I was like, what? Like, all of a sudden I was like, he was prepared, right? Batman had a plan.
He
Yeah, he
thought
did.
it through.
Yes. He had prep time, I
Prep
guess.
time.
Yes, but like train tracks are not that wide, you know.
Yeah.
No, they are not.
I don't think
that
so.
was really interesting
Yeah. And
because comic books, right?
Exactly. I liked how Joker also was like, you know, I'm happy to see Gotham destroyed, but I'll miss that good old Batty Bat.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah, that was nice.
And then at the very end, I loved the whole Batgirl cave comedy.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds you that they are children.
Oh yeah. that was great.
Seem to remind it all the time that they are just children
And it's fantastic.
fighting crazy villains.
Mm-hmm.
Like, absolutely crazy villains. But you don't want to make it seem like they're in danger. This is a children's show.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
That's all I had to say.
Gotcha. So, the next episode 7, is called Ring Toss. We were introduced to a new hero and a new villain, and there was a reoccurring villain in this show, of which I do not like to speak of because he's the worst.
Yeah, speaking his name gives him power.
And why again does he show up?
When you could use any other villain.
Anybody else? Maybe
So-
even Clue Master. I don't know.
So can I just throw this out there? So when I read through all of the episode descriptions, figuring out where we should stop, I read that one, saw who the villain would be, he who shall not be named, read, you know, what happens to him and the power sets that he acquires throughout the episode, and I said, yeah, they're probably going to hate this. So just a blanket question, did you all enjoy this episode, yes or no?
I don't know. The word of joy is like,
yeah.
it's, I don't know. Defining
Like,
enjoy is really
In
difficult.
terms of this show compared to other episodes, sure.
Okay.
But like, would I ever want to watch this episode again? No.
Yeah, I'm there too. So
similarly,
when we saw what was going to happen, so I'm gonna explain a little bit here. I'm just gonna give a play-by-play.
Sure.
So
Thought process.
yeah, just to kind of explain our thought process, and me and Curtis were on the same wavelength when watching this episode. We so Green Lantern comes to bat or whatever and says that there's this new villain, Sinestro, and he's escaped and blah blah blah, and he was super powerful, and we had a dark history, so I would advise not not fighting him, blah, blah, blah.
Don't try to be a hero, Bat.
Yeah, don't try to be a hero, Bat. That line made no sense to me whatsoever. I'm like,
Yeah.
have you just not seen what he's been doing this whole time? Like, what? Okay, anyways, yeah, he said don't try to be a hero. He goes off, and then he's flying around, and then Sinestro attacks him. And Sinestro is kicking his butt, absolutely wrecking him. Hal Jordan, this is pretty sure, this is Hal Jordan, because he is the test pilot.
Yep.
Is trying his best, doesn't really work. And there is something that was really interesting that occurs within this fight. Sinestro says, like, the reason you lost is because you didn't have the guts to finish me.
Mm-hmm.
So he says that, and then Hal Jordan, when Sinestro beats him, Hal Jordan sends his ring off, and when Sinestro realizes that he sent his ring off, he doesn't finish him. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, this is a children's show, I realize, but there was a major inconsistency there.
Yeah, it was kind of rough.
So then he sends his ring off, and this is where I'm a little confused. He sends his ring off for Batman to wear. And then Curtis and I were like, I don't want to use the exact words that we use, but like, do the writers of this show have the guts to give Batman a ring? And right when we said that, the answer was no. No. We're going to give Penguin. We're going to give Penguin the freaking ring. And he just happens upon it, and then he puts it on.
Like he literally does anything. He just randomly falls into it.
And then he puts it on and starts using it. Okay, JC, I don't know how familiar you are with Green Lantern, but I was not aware that anybody could just put on the ring and use the powers.
I'm not sure about that either.
I always thought that the ring had to at least choose the user. I realize there are some, I'm just talking about green rings. I realize there are some other colors which you can put on and use. But in Green Lantern, the animated series, some lantern users had to be trained into how to use that power.
Yeah. I think all of the grievances go back to it's a children's show.
Yes. And Penguin is the bottom of it all.
Yeah. So
he is the bottom of this entire series.
I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. Remember how last episode I said I fell asleep during an episode?
Did you fall asleep again?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And it was during this episode.
Don't blame you. Wish I fell asleep.
So I fell asleep, I think right as soon as Sinestro came to confront Penguin. And I have no idea how the episode ended because I did not go back and finish it.
Well, to wrap up the plot. All right, so to wrap up the plot here, they find Penguin. Sinestro is like taking on Penguin, and Penguin's kind of defending himself somewhat, but it's really shaky because it has low battery and he has very low willpower.
And
because that's the whole
intelligence.
thing. Yeah, and intelligence. They threw that in there too. So
Accurate.
Low intelligence, low willpower. So it didn't really work for him. He gets freaked out. Batman convinces him that, hey, that ring was for me, not for you. Give it up or he's going to take you out. And then Penguin's acting like a scared little bird, like he does sometimes. Like what he did against Rumor when Rumor showed up.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then, yes, Batman got the ring for a total of like 10 seconds.
Oh, he actually did get it. Wow.
Yes, he did get the ring, but it was nowhere near as climactic as I thought it was going to be. Like it really
For a quite frankly insulting amount of time.
Yes. What in the world? Like he flies away, he defended himself for like one attack, and that was it. And then he gives it back to Hal, and Hal recharges it, and then takes him out. That's it. That is what happened, and disappointed.
Is it worth watching the last 5 minutes?
I just no.
I mean, as a fan of the show proper, I know you are, JC. I'd say yeah, go ahead and watch it.
I'll try to get the motivation to for
just,
the dear.
Just hype up for Batman with a ring. You know, just say, hey, we get that for 5 minutes, and then they go to the Bat Cave, and then Hal Jordan's like, I realize, like, I should have given you way more credit, you know, blah blah blah. You're actually pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what happens. That was my attempt there, Curtis, to be Greg Miller, completely explaining an episode. There's this, as JC, as we've mentioned, there's a podcast we listen to, Kind of Funny Games, and there is this the host and the CEO of Kind of Funny, and they do this section where they are movies, and from memory, he will explain the entire plot and story of the movie.
It's pretty dang impressive.
It's very impressive.
Imagine if we tried to do that for all these episodes. We'd be like 5 hours.
Absolutely impressive. Yeah.
That'd be purgatory.
So yeah, that is the last episode we watched of this series, episode 7. We can give some rankings and then give the titles of the last episodes we'll be watching of the Batman, the cartoon
We're finally
series.
almost there.
All right, so I mean, I kind of know mine.
You know what? I think I have mine right now.
Hit us with it, JC.
Okay. At the very bottom. This is actually, it's kind of hard. It's like, which one's the worst? None of them are that great, except for the obvious standouts. Honestly, just because it put me to sleep and because of Penguin, Ring tossed at the very bottom for me.
Oh,
I can't
okay.
deal with it. So that's my hot take there, perhaps, but that's where I'm putting it. It literally put me to sleep. Then above that, I'm gonna put a Mirror Darkly. Not because I want to, because I don't want to, because I really like the Flash. Even though it's not the best Flash, I still like Flash. It was a cool Mirror Master. But yeah, it wasn't the best episode. And I'm just putting above that a little bit is White Heat. I want to put it below it so bad, but it was a Batgirl and Robin episode, so that automatically makes it higher. Plus, it was pretty cool to see Batman suit, and pretty cool to see Batman, you know, honestly pretty terrified that he was going to lose his partners. So I thought all that was cool, so that's why it outranks A Mirror Darkly. Then I am putting Vertigo, which is just slightly better in my opinion because I like Green Arrow. That's probably highly contested and maybe a worse episode overall, but I enjoyed it more a little bit, I think. And I liked seeing Oliver Queen and Bruce interact, and Ollie absolutely hate Bruce Wayne, and I thought that was all a fun dynamic. So that's why I'm putting it up there. Then Joker Express, which was way better than everything I've just talked about. It's just way better episode. And then of course the Batman Superman story parts 1 and 2, because they were just leagues and leagues better than anything else that's come from the season. So that's my ranking.
All right, I can go next.
Yeah.
So at the bottom, I am going to put the Flash episode just because cringy his voice was
Yeah.
and his mannerisms. After that, I'll put the Green Lantern episode because screw Penguin. Then I'll put the Green Arrow episode. Slightly better, I guess. Then I'll put White Heat. Then I'll put All Aboard the Joker Express because I mean I had a fun enough time with that one.
Yeah.
And then of course the Superman episodes are at the top because that was definitely the most fun I had.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't think ours really differs too much, other than ring toss is at the bottom for me. It just made no sense. Yeah, I just really didn't like it at all. Penguin is no go for me at all times. Just there's only one moment where Penguin kind of seemed, and yeah. Anyways, okay, we're not getting into that. All right, so it's that, and then it's A Mirror Darkly. This Flash was super annoying. There was no origin of who he was. There was major inconsistencies, which I realize in a lot of superhero shows, there will be like an inconsistency or something that's like not explained, like because comic books. But it wasn't even that cool of a concept where you're like, because comic books. You know what I mean? Like, it really wasn't that cool. And then I put Vertigo. Vertigo, we did see Green Arrow. It was a classic iteration of Green Arrow. There was a lot more fighting, which I kind of enjoyed, but they kept overusing the same plot of fighting over and over again. Like, hey, you're going to get dizzy while fighting us. You're going to get dizzy while fighting us. And it wasn't until the very last fight where they're like, oh, we figured it out. Or like Batman, like
very kids show.
Yeah, Batman forced Green Arrow. Hey, put on these earplugs because that'll fix it.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's a White Heat. White Heat only made it up this high because, number one, I felt actually afraid for Batman in the sense, like, how in the world is he going to take on this villain? And number two, we got to see the Batsuit. Very cool Batsuit. One that I had been asking for this whole time, like an all-black Batsuit. And they put the red eyes, which was a nice touch. So that's why it's there for me. And then Joker Express at 2, and which was overall fun. Good Joker episode. Maybe like my second or third favorite Joker episode. Probably third. Just a lot of fun. Much more Joker-esque. I want a lot more Joker-esque type, Joker scenes. And sometimes, as I said in the past, that he's inconsistent in the show, which he is. And then the Superman episodes, part 1 and part 2. I really liked them. Lex Luthor was very spot on as the character we know him to be. So yeah, Bad Boys Superman takes the top.
Nice. Should we go over the last few episode titles?
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Honestly, that first half is kind of forgettable. I mean, that first half of the season was kind of forgettable, and I hope this next half isn't as forgettable. Other than we
Don't get
shall
your hopes
see.
up too
Are
much,
you
Josh.
gonna wanna read them off, or shall I?
We could alternate.
Oh, okay.
Sounds good to me.
You can go first, Josh.
All right. So episode 8, moving on, is called The Metal Face of Comedy. So it's pretty obvious, I think, of who that possibly could be. The Joker. I mean, he's supposed to own comedy, in a sense. There was another face of comedy. What was the other episode?
It was Clayface episode.
It was the rubber face of comedy and the clay face of tragedy.
Okay, the rubber face of comedy is what I'm thinking of. Where he had the new Joker, the kid. Was that the rubber?
That was the Clayface up 2-parter, season 1 finale.
Okay, wait. Clayface was the. My goodness, these episodes. So the rubber face of comedy was a Joker Clayface one. No,
Right.
Oh, I get it. Okay, the rubber face of comedy was the first one, and then the second one was when he actually became Clayface.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it's very possible that this does include Clayface again. I don't know. But Joker, I think, is definitely in it. Anybody have any other takes on that?
No, I totally agree.
Yep, same here.
All right, Judge Brown.
Okay. So the next one is called Attack of the Terrible Trio.
Villain team up?
I'm trying to think of maybe a villain set that comes in threes.
What if it's Penguin and the Kabuki twins?
Nope. Nuh-uh. Nope.
Not going to speak that into existence.
No, we're not.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't really think of anyone. Yeah, maybe just a random villain team up. Though last villain team up we got involved Penguin. So yeah.
We
Can't
shall
really
see.
think of anyone.
I'm just gonna say this from the episode description that I'm reading. I'm guessing that you're both gonna hate this episode.
Hooray!
Okay.
Happy note there. But anyway, but it's not for any of the reasons we've talked about. So
moving on to the next episode. Episode 10 is called, it actually has an interesting name, one that sparks some interest, The End of Batman.
Ooh.
I mean, the only villain that, okay. From a comic book perspective, the only villain that really should take the, that would actually maybe fulfill the name of this episode. Okay, there are a few of them, all right? Bane is one of them, of him breaking the bat, kind of, Joker is another one, because he's literally like the main villain of Batman in a sense. But in this show, he hasn't really lived up to his name. But it's very possible. And number 3, what was my third one? Yeah, that's kind of about it. Those two.
So I'm just gonna throw this out from reading the episode description. But based on the title alone, I think it's kind of obvious. This is, in a way, I think, going to be the spiritual series finale for the Batman, or for Batman himself.
Oh yeah, because the last card says Justice League.
Yeah, because if you remember back to the last finale, the joining finale, there is one member of the Justice League we haven't met yet, or officially met yet.
Yes.
And that is Hawkman.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go ahead and spoil that's what goes up. Episode 11 is going to be about Hawkman.
Okay.
Something to do with him. So since that's Hawkman, and then the finale is Justice League, this is the last real Batman episode 10. So I think they're going to pay off his character well there, hopefully. I hope. We'll see.
All right. So as you mentioned, the next episode, what goes up?
Mm-hmm.
Can't really think of any villain other than maybe a Hawkman strong villain, like I don't know. I don't know much about Hawkman, honestly, to name some villains that he has specifically.
Yeah. I'm looking at the villain's name and I don't even know who he is. And I've watched this episode before.
Yeah, I'm not a Hawkman expert either.
Yeah, he shows up in Legends of Tomorrow for a little bit. I don't remember what happened to him, though.
Oh, he just kind of went away because he was a terrible character.
Yeah, he kind of was
Yeah,
a
he
terrible
sucked.
character. So that leads us to episodes 12 and 13, a two-parter called Lost Heroes. So as you kind of mentioned, that this is Justice League heavy. But to come up with who the villains are, I'm going to stick with my idealistic, maybe Hugo Strange. But if there are any other, if the joining comes back, JC. No.
So help me.
And if Penguin shows up, how could you?
What if it's Penguin taking over the joining?
I'm done. I'm walking out.
Yep.
I am walking. I am not going to finish the episode. I'm going to force you that next episode to reiterate the entire plot. Tell me what happens. And that's it. That will be my experience of that last episode. Or that two-parter.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. It's not Penguin leading the joining. Therefore, it's not the worst case scenario.
All right. Okay.
That's all I can guarantee, though.
I get it.
You guys
all
are
right.
pro.
So there you have it, listeners. That was a lot of content, honestly, where Judge Cooper and I gave our take on Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS5. Very fun game. Highly recommend it.
A very fun game.
Very fun game. And we also gave our rankings of the last season's last 5 or so episodes. 6, I think it was. Last 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And discussed what happened in the very underwhelming first half of season 5.
And we got our most anticipated Marvel or superhero properties for media.
True that. And we are super hyped for that. And WandaVision is coming soon, so we shall see, Judge Cooper, how amazing it really is.
I hope it's good.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, it's been real.
It's been fun.
It's been real fun.
Good job, JC.
Thank
Court
you.
is adjourned.